Thank you. You are now being joined to your conference.
Your line has been muted.
Morning. Thank you very much indeed for joining the webinar. My name is Fred Wilkinson, Managing Director of the company BPI On Demand. Welcome to today's webinar, which is titled CRM is Not a System. So I'm guessing you're probably all intrigued as to find out what it is. So let's rattle through the slides. Firstly, I'd like to just do a sort of brief introduction of myself. I run a company called BPI On Demand, which stands for Business Performance Improvement, and obviously technology these days is on demand in the cloud. There's our hash Twitter handle, so please by all means follow us following this webinar or during the webinar as well. We'd love to hear your views on today's topic. So I'm guessing hashtag, we can probably hashtag with hashtag CRM is dead or something like this. I'll let you guys choose for that. We will be recording today's webinar, so if you want a copy of that recording, look out for it on the website. So let's dive in. Everything has changed around us. And I think what I'd like to say is that ultimately the phraseology CRM has been completely sort of misused, I believe, over the last 20 years, thinking of people around what it is and what it isn't. CRM is definitely not a system. CRM, and I know it sounds obvious, is customer relationship management. And I think for the last 20 years, a lot of people have forgotten that that has fundamentally changed. We congratulate Salesforce.com, for example, who kind of made it okay to put your data and your pipeline in the cloud. But what else has that actually achieved? Has it achieved real business performance improvement, or just a report or some sort of dashboard? And when you think about the changing the terminology from CRM being a system and a pipeline tool into a new way of working, and you think about it from the customer relationship management angle, everything has changed with regards to the way our customers interact, serve, buy, and get marketed to by organizations. And I'll be honest to say that the vendors, to a degree, Microsoft, the Oracles, the Salesforces, I blame them to a degree, because what they did is they built systems for departments and not realistically for the customer. And you look at someone like Uber, Tesla, and the likes of how they're valued as organizations, they've really completely reversed customer relationship management into very much the customer first. Looking at the valuations, for example, between an Uber and someone like General Motors, General Motors is probably worth about $8 billion. It's got plants, machinery, tools, work in progress, cars, obviously, and ultimately they're around about the $8 billion mark. But then you've got a Tesla or an Uber who are worth $50 billion. Now, what's the fundamental difference? And the difference is quite simple. It's to do with data and what they do and don't do with their data. I'll give you a couple of thoughts around how things have also changed in the world around us. I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and there's two things I know they're going to do, or one thing that they're going to do and one thing they're not going to have to do in their lifetimes. My children will not need a driving license. Driverless cars are already existing. So if you think about those business models, all of the infrastructure around driverless cars, it's going to change everything. And one of those exact examples is requiring a driving license. They're not going to need it. And the second thing they're also going to do is they're going to go on holiday to the moon in their lifetime. That I'm absolutely convinced. So if you think about how technology is driving enormous change within our customers and how consumers behave, and as ultimately consumers are the ultimate people who buy products just as much as a business buys business-to-business products. That is kind of really where everyone has gone. Everybody is in the cloud, and fundamentally, if you're not in the cloud, then you're a little bit behind the pace. Customers buy and sell and buy, effectively their buying cycle is predominantly done in the cloud in an integrated fashion, whereas a lot of businesses still manufacture, market, sell, serve, finance, operationalize a website, etc., all in a siloed fashion. in a non-integrated way. And if you think about that, well, actually, 60% of the buying decision is made even before they've met a sales representative, or even maybe before they even hit your website. So looking at a website being a sales channel. So that's some executive study done by Google saying that actually people are doing research. They're finding out what they are connected to, who they're connected to. The influencing of buyers is happening way, way before, as we say, they've met a sales representative. So ultimately, if you think about CRM being just a pipeline tool of old, then you're missing 60% of that life cycle isn't even ever going to appear in a pipeline tool, because it's research done before. It's accessibility, if I build the slide, social media, WhatsApp, friends, asking word of mouth. Think about the social network and thinking that that's just technology. It's actually not the best way to look at it. What you should look at is that social networking has been in existence ever since the dawn of man. It's basically people talking to other people. But the difference is now with these tools and these applications, B2B and B2C, people have got access to that data. They've got access to the ability to see what people are and are not saying about their customers and or prospects. There's social proof points, and ultimately we're seeing a vast increase in the number of chief customer officers, chief experience officers, customer experience, digital transformation, people coming into the market. And those people are driving, ultimately, the right methodology around what is the customer's journey, not navel-gazing inside and seeing whether the pipeline is healthy. CRM has definitely moved on. So what is it? As I said to you, it's not a system. It's not a pipeline management tool. And more importantly, it's not a sales tool, a marketing tool, a service tool, a finance tool, an HR tool. It's not a departmental tool. A lot of the time I speak at conferences and I do workshops with clients on a regular basis to help them understand this and how to differentiate themselves. And a lot of the time people say, well, do I need to be in this workshop? Because you're saying it's a sales process workshop and they're sat in marketing or they're in finance or they're in legal. And a lot of the time I'll answer back to them and say, well, are you involved in the sales process? And 99% of the time, the answer is always yes. It is customer relationship management, and it sounds extraordinarily simple, but everybody in the world has forgotten that. Partially, as I said earlier on, the vendors building applications for departments, but also partially because of the nature of the economy that's been since 2008 in a very cut mentality, and ultimately because of that, you need to think about, have a lot of organizations forgotten about the customer, forgotten about driving customer experience and the importance of that, versus cutting there and making themselves more profitable in case of the next potential crisis happening. So what does it mean to the journey to the customers? And this is really where the customer part of the CRM phrase comes from. It's, well, what's my need? And then I'm going to shoot round on this slide here to researching and buying the product way before I've even spoken to someone here potentially in sales. But you can see right in front of you, this is a clearly defined infinity loop. It carries on going. You receive the service. You can only experience a bad service once. You then recommend, and then you go back to a need, and all the way through that cycle to renew your solutions, your products, your subscriptions, whatever the product or service that you might be selling. And I think when we look at this sort of other side, or the second side of the infinity loop about customer experience and customer service, now you're starting to see, well, CRM in most people's mind in a sales tool is like, well, it's my pipeline tool. And then customer service, well, CRM is my customer service tool. And then you've got marketing, you say, well, CRM is my customer marketing and campaign management tool. And that's fundamentally flawed. This is saying, actually, these departments must work together, because your customers look at a brand and they look at it as a whole. They don't care whether someone in service is involved, someone in legal, someone in sales is involved. They just want to buy and get service for that particular solution. But giving bad service is ultimately giving you a stat there right in front of your eyes. Around 86% of people just won't go back. And just think about that for a second when you go to a restaurant. Think about business as a restaurant. You just don't go back unless you're dragged back by friends. But there's a good analogy to think about. So this is our view of the philosophy of how CRM has changed. Think about CRM as a journey. Don't try and stress or overly stress. We're here to help, certainly, as a partner in this journey around business performance improvement. Ultimately, putting the people at the front of your mind when you're thinking about improving the way that your company works and operates with your customers. Gather the right data, understand whether you've got access to the right data, and if you haven't, try and find out where that is. Data is absolutely the fundamental difference between an 8 billion valuation of General Motors and a 50 billion valuation of someone like Uber. The fundamental difference is data, and there is arguments around whether data should be put onto people's balance sheet of that is the quality and the value of gathering additional data. I've also heard analogies around the world talking about data being the new oil, fueling the technology, fueling the future. The truth is that's a terrible analogy because oil can only be used once, whereas data is even more powerful than oil because you can use it again and again. And the more times you use it in a personalized fashion, ultimately the more enriched it becomes. And part of the next steps is really process. And I use this word and everyone hates it. Because the moment you say process, everyone wants to go to sleep. It means workshops, it's hard work. It's analyzing what steps during all of these interactions that you have with the people and the data, what steps can you automate? How can you make it easier? How can you welcome someone on board as a new customer after the sale is closed and automatically welcome them and make them feel great with photos, with imagery, with personalization? And you can think about that also from the other steps in what we call campaigning. But it is all about sales, marketing, service, finance. It's business process improvement, not just a particular department. And finally, when you have an integrated scenario, CRM can dramatically change internally as well. And you drive not adoption, and adoption is one of my most hated words in this industry. Adoption sometimes means, well, I've got some people logging into a system. You know, congratulations, great. What value has that added to anybody? What I look for is advocacy, is changing this appetite from I've been told by my boss I've got to log into this CRM system versus I want to log into this customer relationship management as a journey, whether that's viewing data from the marketing department about what my prospects are engaging with, looking at the pipeline and seeing what opportunities I might have to cross and upsell, checking the pipeline before I go and visit a client, also seeing whether they're receiving a great service from us or if they've got lots of complaints outstanding. And this kind of wraps itself up into that phraseology from you know, a decade ago or more, saying the 360 view of our customers. But driving that advocacy means that this is really the only place that I can go to get information about how I can improve my performance through and with our customers, which is, again, reiterating the point around what the C is within CRM. So a couple of Twitter handles I want to add to. I've got my own Twitter handle, CXFredWilco. And the BPI on Demand handle is more the company side. Really pleased that you were able to attend today. Thank you so much for doing so. I'd also like to announce that on the 7th of April, I must apologize for the error on the 7th of March. It's definitely gone by, but I will be talking at the HMS Belfast, which is on the Thames, on the 7th of April. We will obviously send invites to anybody who has attended today's call, and once again, thank you for attending. But you know, the next steps a lot of customers take, a lot of our prospects, if you will, take on this journey to try and find out what CRM really means for your organization, is we'll come and happily organize a sort of 1-hour consultancy session, maybe build out some ideas around a day, workshopping together about how to start this journey bit by bit. You really don't have to, you know, transform yourselves overnight. Don't be scared. Don't be frightened. We've learned from lots and lots of mistakes ourselves. But please follow us on Twitter, both myself and also the organization, to find out more about how you can help your organization improve its performance and ultimately improve the customer experience, which is the goal. I thank you so much for listening, and look out for the next webinars, and please come and follow us. Thank you very much, and goodbye.